It all started with me asking the internet a very simple question. Where is the best meal you had in San Diego? And the boy who ate San Diego was born. In this series, you'll come along with me and my friends to experience the best of San Diego food. I hope. Some of y'all got suspect taste. Plus, there'll even be times where I venture outside of California altogether to experience new cities and bring you a special report. It's gonna be fun, trust me. Come on, let's eat. Welcome to the show. Tonight we're going to be handling things a little bit differently. As much as I love exploring all the great places to eat in my city of San Diego, I also love going to a new city and finding new places and new experiences to share with you. And I was determined when I started this series that I was going to add one or two other special places outside of California to share. A few months ago, David and I got the opportunity to spend a weekend with some friends in Phoenix, Arizona. I had been to Phoenix before, but I never really knew much about the culinary life there. I wasn't really sure what they were known for or what even there was to eat there. So I was determined on this trip to learn all about it and to share it with you. Now, we hit up a bunch of places while we were there, and if you want to hear our thoughts on all of them, check out The Boy Who Ate San Diego, the podcast, on Spotify, Podbean, or wherever you listen to podcasts to get the uncut discussion. But right now, you're going to hear about our top 5 places that we saw in Phoenix. I learned so much about the food of Phoenix, Arizona while I was there, and we uncovered some gems, including one of, I kid you not, the best restaurants I've ever been to, and I will run back to this place the next time I am anywhere near Phoenix. Seriously, it was that good. So let's go ahead and get into it. Before we get started, I really want to give a shout out to our friends Michael and Daniel, who were our hosts for the weekend, and they were very lovely, and I had put this list together via the internet with a lot of top 10 lists and a lot of different places that I saw that came highly recommended. But the really cool part was that after we got there and we had started meeting some of Michael and Daniel's friends, we got some recommendations from the locals, which was really cool. The very first place we went to was the first night we were there, and I believe this was Michael and Daniel's suggestion.
I think you're right.
It was called HULA'S, and they boast a menu of infused inland and mainland flavors, and they offer up a twist on the classic tiki bar and restaurants of yesteryear, and the vibe is very kitschy and very cute and very festive. Did you find that to be true?
Yeah, I like the indoor-outdoor aspect. We sat on the patio, but it didn't really feel like we were outside of the restaurant, and it was nice and comfortable in there, considering it was a warm day. Mm-hmm. This was evening, so it had cooled down a bit. But yeah, I liked it. It was very modern, very cool.
Yeah, I got started with a cocktail. They had some pretty cool tiki drinks on there, and I do love me a tiki drink. And they had one that was called Dr. Funk, and as a Prince fan, I felt like that was just a must-do. It was coconut rum, vodka, creme de banana, coconut, pineapple, and orange juice served in a tall tiki mug. And it was pretty much perfection for me because I do love a sweet drink. I don't think you got any of the house specialties, did you?
I did. I got the blood orange martini, which blood orange is not a very sweet orange. Mm-hmm. It's kind of tart, but they did a good job of balancing that out, and it was really tasty and delicious, so I really liked that.
We started off with an appetizer, and now David, for those that don't know, is actually gluten-free. He doesn't have celiac, but gluten does not get along with him, and he's been eating gluten-free for like how long now?
Oh, probably about 10 years.
You did wind up asking a few questions because there were some modifications with your main dish, but the appetizer that we shared was the samurai beef sticks, and that was grilled Mongolian beef skewered with pineapple and scallions. Now, I really enjoyed that, but for me, the real standout of that was the lime curry dipping sauce that it came with.
Yeah, that was really yummy. It really added, and the steak was cooked perfectly. It was juicy and delicious, and that sauce really added to the dish, really made it yummy.
Absolutely agree. Now, I would have never in a million years imagined that I would be in a tiki bar and wound up eating tacos, but I saw something that I kind of couldn't resist, and boy, am I glad I got it because it was honestly one of the best things I had. It was the crunchy, spicy chicken tacos, and it's marinated roasted chicken, jack cheese, taco slaw, and salsa roja, in a deep-fried corn tortilla. Now, I'd never had a fried taco like that, but I love a rolled taco, so I was willing to take a chance on it. And it was like, the chicken was so super juicy and flavorful, and it was like the hot crunch of the fried tortilla, hit perfect with the cold crunch of the slaw, and you got that jack cheese tying it all together. I absolutely loved it. I know you didn't have any, but tell us about the dish you had.
I had the Duke's Luau pork plate, and it's a pretty simple dish, but I did really enjoy it. It only had 3 ingredients, which was the pulled pork, a scoop of white rice, and coleslaw. And I'm not a fan of coleslaw. I gave it to Michael, who said it was very good. But the flavor of the pulled pork was really what made the whole dish so delicious.
There was also pineapple in there, right?
It cooked in with the pork.
Yeah, and I remember like trying the pineapple and thinking it was mango because it was so sweet.
Yeah, it was really brought out the flavors of the beef and really added to the flavor of the sauce.
Yeah, overall, I gotta give HULA'S a big thumbs up. I really loved it.
Yeah, me too. I thought that was a great choice and a great way to start our trip.
Dinner on night 2 was another local recommendation, and I'm glad our friends have good taste because that would have been awkward if they didn't. We went to George Yang's Chinese Cuisine. With a specialty in Chinese food, George Yang's also offers dishes of Thai, Burmese, and Vietnamese descent. And I thought it was a really cool place, and we went there with a rather large group. I think there were like 8 of us.
There were 8, yeah.
And what was cool is that they sat us down on a big round table, which had like this big glass Lazy Susan in the center, which was good because you could be like, I want to try that, and you can feel like you're spinning the wheel for cash and fabulous prizes. And that was something I particularly enjoyed because it's always awkward passing plates, and you know. But one of the appetizers that caught my eye was the New York style egg roll. Now, what makes it New York style, you ask? I'm glad you asked, gentle listener. It was made with shrimp, pork, and peanut butter, of all things. Now, I am sitting next to an honest-to-God New Yorker, born and raised. What the F, bro?
I never heard of peanut butter being a egg roll ingredient. It sounds good, and maybe some chopped peanuts in there would have been something that's not out of the order, but I don't feel like I've ever ordered an egg roll and been like, ooh, peanutty.
Yeah, and they seem to be peanut averse at this place because my normal go-to for any Chinese restaurant is Kung Pao chicken. And they made it a point on their menu to say that their Kung Pao chicken does not come with peanuts. I don't know what happened. I don't know the story behind that, but sitting on the other side of me was our friend Michael, who is also a New York native, and he said that he had heard of that. So I don't know if that's like a Manhattan versus Long Island thing.
Michael's a Long Islander as well.
Oh, is he really? Okay.
Yeah, I grew up on Long Island, but we both worked in the city and ate Chinese food all over the place.
Maybe.
And I don't know. People can let us know. Have you had peanut butter in your egg rolls? I've never heard of this.
Please, shoot us an email and let us know. Now, I will say the New York style egg roll with peanut butter was actually pretty tasty, particularly when mixed with the spicy mustard, which as much as I love spicy, I don't normally do spicy mustard, but I tried it with the duck sauce and the spicy mustard. Again, hello, East Coast Chinese food. But the spicy mustard with the peanut roll was really good. Now, our appetizer that you and I shared, it was my favorite dish of the entire meal. It was the chicken lettuce wraps, which was minced chicken with water chestnuts and mushrooms. And it sounds pretty simple, but it was bomb. It was so well done.
It was just so well cooked. The chicken was really juicy and the sauce was delicious and the lettuce came in big pieces that stayed together. I mean, you're not making the lettuce, you have to have picked a good head. We had them to get a very good head.
Like I said, I normally order Kung Pao chicken, but they didn't serve peanuts, which I was like, you know what, let's branch out. So instead, I got the Firecracker Shrimp, which is served with mushrooms and zucchini and a garlic and ginger sauce. The dish was served with a family-style bowl of rice. I didn't quite get the heat that the name promised, because when it comes to Asian food, it pretty much, particularly Thai food,
Yeah, you like your spicy Thai food. But
I do.
Yeah, for something called, I tried your dish, and for something called Firecracker, it was flavorful, but definitely not spicy.
Yeah, I mean, the flavors were on point. I love garlic and ginger, and they were both pretty well represented in the sauce. It just wasn't what I was expecting. Now, yours had a very unusual name. What you got?
Yeah, I had the Tres Amigos. It was beef, chicken, and shrimp. With a brown sauce and vegetables. And lots of people feel like, oh, a shrimp doesn't belong in a dish that would combine those, but I'm not one of those people. I like
more protein, the better.
The more flavors, the more proteins, the better.
Kill as many animals as humanly possible. The whole farm in there. No.
But I thought it was really good.
And yeah, big thumbs up for George Yang's.
Yes, absolutely. George Yang's was fantastic.
Yes.
The internet research that I did gave me our choice for dinner that night, and it was interesting to me because it made so many top 10 lists, and none of the locals I talked to had ever even heard of it. But the four of us kind of piled into the car, and I was getting a little nervous because the place that we went to, it was off the beaten path. It was not very close to where we were. It's close to the airport. It didn't look like the best neighborhood. And when we got in, it was not much to look at, I have to say.
Yeah, it was a very industrial neighborhood. Definitely felt like a place that people that we had met would not have gone to. And I know Michael and Daniel were a little like, where are we going? And yeah, it really didn't look like much of anything. And the way it was decorated was not especially special.
No, and actually it reminded me of a bunch of like hole-in-the-wall places you find in Imperial Beach.
Yeah.
But we would later find out that this restaurant was awarded Best Restaurant in the Country by Yelp. The restaurant is called CUCINA Madrigal.
Oh, and we should say the name.
Yes, CUCINA Madrigal. I spent so much time practicing how to say that so I would sound slightly less white when I said it, but I'm going to get as much mileage out of this as I can. CUCINA Madrigal. And they offer classic Mexican fare with a focus on tacos and tequilas. Now, y'all, I gotta tell you, this place was fantastic. I was unprepared.
We live in San Diego. We are not strangers to good tacos and good Mexican food, but they did something special in every single item.
Oh my God.
It just made it all so good.
It was incredible to start and only got better for me as it went on. So let's get into this. We started with the Oaxaca Fundido, which is Oaxaca cheese melted over longanzilla sausage, I'm probably just butchered that, roasted jalapenos, mushrooms, caramelized onions, and epazote, which I'm sure I also just butchered. They serve it in a cast iron skillet with fresh house-made corn tortillas. I don't know how they got so much flavor into this little cast iron skillet. Smooth, velvety cheese, a little bit of tang playing off the rich, earthy mushrooms, the sausage with just a little bit of jalapeno heat. Once we finished our corn tortillas, we were scraping that pot with our chips. It honestly, one of the best kind of dishes of its kind I've ever had.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of mushrooms, and there were a lot of mushrooms in this dish, but even I don't hate them, I just don't like them. But even with the mushrooms in there, I was like, this is too delicious not to eat. You know, I tried to get a spoonful without mushrooms, but it was all so mushed up together, you couldn't really tell.
Yeah,
but
no.
Boy, it was that good.
I love mushrooms. I could not get enough of this dish. And I think we were really smart about how we ordered it, because you can order it a la carte, but you can also get it as part of a trio with guacamole and salsa. And the salsa was more smoky than anything else. I know you weren't particularly feeling the salsa.
I'm not a salsa fan in general, so I don't even know if I tried the salsa. Michael said that was the only thing that he felt was average in the entire restaurant was the salsa. Everything else was such a standout, but I thought the guacamole was really good.
Yeah.
I don't know what they did differently, but I liked it.
You can just, it hits different. I'm telling you, guacamole, actual Mexican guacamole made by actual Mexicans, it just hits different. If you know, you know. And they just had this to the nines. It was incredible. Now, I want to give a shout out to our server, Antonio, who was actually super helpful in guiding us through the menu and giving advice on what to order. And I took a suggestion to get the 2 enchiladas. One was chicken, which is achiote braised chicken, jack cheese, New Mexico hatch green chili sauce, and a chipotle cream. And the other one was the wild mushroom enchilada. Again, I love mushrooms. And it's a mix of 3 wild mushrooms, jack cheese, ancho mole cream sauce, avocado relish, and sour cream, both with rice and beans. And of course, I had no beans because I don't like beans. But the chicken, again, this is another example of something so simple done so well. The chicken was so fresh and just loaded with great flavor, and it just came together with the creamy spice of the cheese and the sauces, and it was just so well done. And the mushroom enchilada, absolutely delicious. You got that earthy umami of the mushrooms coming in with that mole, which made it rich, and it had an incredible depth of flavor like I have never had in an enchilada. But your main dish was very interesting.
It was the crispy salmon served over mashed potatoes with shrimp and a tomatillo sauce. And it was so flavorful and so good. And I did try a bite of your chicken enchilada, and that really was an outstanding chicken enchilada. Everything was delicious that hit the table. Michael ordered 3 tacos and said that there was something different in each taco that he had never had in a taco before that only added and elevated the flavor of the tacos. So yeah, we really all loved our meals.
Yeah, and usually with a restaurant like that, you don't expect the desserts to be much of anything. It's just kind of like a sweet bite to kind of tie everything together. So we ordered 2 of the 3 desserts on the menu. The first was the chocolate Chipotle Pie. And I don't usually get down with spicy chocolate as much as I love spice. But it was really it was smooth and creamy and rich and yet surprisingly light. And there was a whipped cream and spicy candy pecans, and it was anything but an afterthought. I really loved how special it was.
I think all the spice was in the nuts that were on the side, because I just tried some of the pie. I'm not a fan of spice, and so I wasn't looking for that. I just had some of the chocolate, and it did not taste overly spicy to me without having any of the spiced nuts that were on the side. So it just tasted like a really good, rich, thick chocolate pie.
And the other dessert that we got were the churros, which are actually made to order. So it's going to take a minute, you know, before you get it done, but man, is it worth the wait. A fresh made churro is like unbeatable, and there was a great Bavarian cream in the middle, and it was served with a dulce dipping sauce, and like seriously, like Michael and I were gonna lick this plate. It was...
I think Michael did pick up the little dipping sauce bowl and lick it clean.
It was so good.
He was like, I want more to dip in this.
Yep. We were unsure, but this was such a success. I will run back to this place the next time I'm in Phoenix. With that incredible experience of Cocina Madrigal, I didn't know what else was in store for us, but there were still a few more surprises on our last day in Phoenix. It started with another brunch at Fez. It's a menu that includes trendy burgers, cocktails, and Mediterranean fare. Very cool vibe. I think if I was to compare the interior of Fez to anywhere here in San Diego currently, it kind of reminded me of Snooze, but honestly, for those of you San Diego natives that have been here for a while, if you remember Brian's, or Little Bees, like, did you find that to be true?
I definitely see the comparison with Snooze. Just the bright colors that were in there, and Michael had said there aren't a lot of restaurants where you go and you feel like you're in a gay restaurant. And
right.
This really felt like that. Very welcoming to everybody, and definitely a very warm, fun environment. Definitely feels like a place you want to go and have a good time.
Yeah, and that we did.
Yeah.
I started with a cocktail called the B Spot, which is blueberry and lime vodkas, blueberry liqueur, muddled blueberries, and lime pressed. Now, I did not see any fruit in this glass. I don't know what happened. It was the color of a bright blue icy, and it tasted like Hypnotic. So I had no complaints. I tried two of the appetizers. One was a great success that I absolutely loved, and the other... we'll get to that in a minute. The first was the Cauliflower Wings, which are like surprisingly great. Panko breaded cauliflower nuggets done up like they were basically drumettes, and they're deep fried and paired with a buffalo sauce. And it sounds really simple, but it was really, really good. It was tender and toothsome. And I know like a lot of people with cauliflower, it is a divisive vegetable. Like people either love it or they hate it.
Yeah, it doesn't have a lot going for it on its own, but coated in panko chips and put a dipping sauce, I would think that would be really great. I stayed away from it because of the coated in panko.
Yeah.
But it looked really good, and everyone at the table really seemed to enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I absolutely loved it.
And shout out to our friends Tim and Ron for ordering that one. Otherwise, I would have never tried it.
Yeah.
And then you and I decided to share our second go at lettuce wraps. And yeah. Diced grilled chicken, almonds, apricots, and cherries tossed in a pomegranate vinaigrette with romaine lettuce cups. This dish was kind of a mess. The chicken was so dry, it was borderline inedible for me.
Yeah, and I said, this needs a sauce, and you're like, it has a sauce.
I know.
And I was not convinced that they remembered to put the sauce on.
The vinaigrette was in there trying to do like CPR on this chicken and could not bring it back.
Yeah, I like the dried fruits that were in it, and those were flavorful, and that was the only really saving grace.
It was.
The chicken was really dry.
The chicken was really dry.
And I feel like if the chicken had been better made, it would have really balanced it, but because it didn't, it felt like I was eating trail mix out of in a salad.
Yeah, it wasn't a great choice.
Yeah, it was not great. But you started with one of the offerings that is only served on the weekends. Tell us about it.
Fresco Fritatta. I was looking for the name.
Also my new drag name.
It was flavorful, but the theme of this meal for me was dry. This was a very dry dish. It was a frittata. What did that?
It's oven-baked eggs with sautéed spinach, caramelized onion, crumbled bacon, and creamy goat cheese, and you got roasted potatoes with that.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about the potatoes. I didn't get the roasted potatoes. I subbed them out for French fries.
Oh, that's right.
I did not ask to get my fries crispy, which I always do, but I did not. These fries came out and were, I suppose, technically cooked. Just this short side of raw, floppy, and really not good fries. And the frittata, goat cheese is not like a a moist cheese, if you know what I mean. Like cheddar will melt up and add some moisture to a dish, but goat cheese kind of doesn't do that. It's flavorful, but it doesn't get ooey gooey.
Right.
And so nothing about this dish had any. It felt like a very dry frittata. It was flavorful. The
goat cheese, when heated, is a mix between creamy and chalky.
Yeah, and chalky was the texture I was getting. I don't know that it would go. I don't know that it's proper for Mediterranean fare, but I felt like just some sliced avocado on top of this would have added a lot of moisture, or maybe some tzatziki sauce.
My main course was another weekend brunch only item, and it sounded too interesting to pass up, honestly. It was the Golden Curry Egg Scramble. Herbed rice scrambled with eggs, green onions, and sweet corn topped with curry sauce, and you have the option to add a protein. I added crispy chicken, and it was just... It was such a cool, interesting way to have breakfast for me. I mean, I know that curry for breakfast is common in both India and English cultures, but I come from the very pale state of Rhode Island, friends. So this was uncharted territory for me, and I love curry. I have it as often as possible. I just never had it with eggs and rice, and it was so good. It just kind of had like this rich, spicy creaminess of the curry with like the rice was tender and the eggs were fluffy, and like the chicken just kind of brought it to another place. It was giving Japanese curry, and that is very up my alley. And it was really, really awesome. And honestly, it felt like so much food I could barely finish it. And I was almost mad that I spent so much time trying to hack away at that lettuce wrap. But I loved my breakfast. I really I would love to find something in San Diego along those lines. But so yeah, I would say minus the lettuce wrap mishap, I would say thumbs up for Fez.
Yeah, for you, I was not impressed with anything that I had there. The waitress was very nice, and the atmosphere was really cool. But yeah, I didn't care for my frittata and my floppy fries and dry chicken. So yeah, not a thumbs up from me, unfortunately.
Welcome to the main stage, Fresco Fritatta and the floppy fries.
One more note on Fez. Michael says that it is his favorite hamburger in Phoenix.
Yes, he did. He did say the burger was legit and he really enjoyed it. And it's interesting because they serve it on not like a traditional hamburger bun, but it was almost like a roll, almost like a baguette. It was interesting. If ever I find myself at Fez again in Phoenix, I will be sure to order that. Now, our final meal in Phoenix was an unusual one. I did not expect, this was again, another local recommendation, and I would not expect Phoenix to be a place where I could find home-style Southern food, but here we are. Our final stop was Texas Grill, and that's T-E-X capital A capital Z Grill, and I guess when you walk in, it is the type of place that lets you know right out of the gate who they are. It is a lot.
Yeah, there wasn't a single open spot on the wall, and it was all, I'm proud to be an American.
Yes.
Was the basic theme of this restaurant.
It was very sensory overload. Like it was wall-to-wall license plates, Texas everything, vintage old school posters. It was stepping into a Lee Greenwood song, and Texas Grill was very much that vibe. Just neon Christmas lights, snapshots, like everything. It's sensory. It's on the ceiling. Like you can't, anywhere you look here, it's sensory overload. And yeah, but it was, there were only 4 of us and we ordered a lot of food with multiple substitutions and requests. And I got worried because for those of you who have ever worked in the restaurant industry, it is an immediate red flag when your server does not write down your order.
Yeah, I wasn't happy about that, but he almost got it right.
He almost got it like 100% right. I was impressed. What Texas Grill is known for is their chicken fried steak. In fact, when you walk up, it actually says, hey, we have served X amount of chicken fried steaks. And I'm not really so much a chicken fried steak guy, but they did have chicken fried chicken, which is the exact same recipe, except for instead of a cut of steak, it's a cut of chicken. But with chicken fried steak, you pound out the meat to make it super thin before you fry it to be crispy. They don't do that with the chicken. It was these 2 huge chicken breasts.
I know. She was a double D, that chicken.
Woo! Oh my lord. And it was giant, and they were batter fried and served with steak fries, which I love, absolutely love. A bowl of corn and a biscuit. And of course smothered in country gravy or cream gravy. And I followed our server's suggestion of sprinkling the can of Zatarain's Creole seasoning on top of my gravy. And again, this was a great suggestion. It was a lot. It was very heavy, but boy, was it good.
Yeah, I was definitely very jealous that I did not eat gluten, and I love chicken fried steak, and that would have been what I would have gotten had I been eating gluten. But since I don't, I ordered a hamburger, no bun, add avocado, and it came with bacon and fried onions, and that was
sautéed onions.
Sautéed onions, and that was that was a thick, beefy burger. The beef was delicious. It really tasted. It was Angus beef, and you could tell it was really good quality beef. A nice thick burger.
Now, speaking of side dishes, I will say the only thing I did try everything that everyone else had in addition to my own dinner, and Michael, I think it was Daniel, that actually got the mac and cheese.
Yes.
Now, I am very particular when it comes to mac and cheese, especially homemade mac and cheese. Earlier this season, we covered Louisiana Purchase, which had a crawfish mac and cheese, which is one of the best mac and cheeses I've ever had. This was like the polar opposite of that. My main complaint with home-style mac and cheese is they overboil the pasta, and it just turns into this gushy, starchy, gross mess, and I don't like stringy cheese, and this mac and cheese was like my kryptonite. It was everything I don't like about mac and cheese. It wasn't for me. The guys really enjoyed it.
I didn't try it because, again, macaroni, pasta. But I think I know you have your specific way that you like my review of the fries is that I didn't like the way they were cooked for me. I think that the mac and cheese looked like something that would have been really good, but just not your scene.
And I'm gonna say that's not the fault of Texas Grill. That's a me thing because I just don't like that kind of mac and cheese. But that aside, my meal was great.
Yeah, definitely 2 thumbs up on this restaurant.
Like it really, what a surprise! I would have never. I feel like this whole trip was full of surprises because I did not expect CUISINE Madrigal to be that good. Like, I knew it was, my expectations were high, but I had no idea. And I did not think I'd find good Southern food, at least Southeastern food, in the middle of Arizona.
I found amazing Chinese food to be a big surprise.
Yeah. So I guess the moral of this story here is,
if you find yourself in Phoenix, go ahead and check it out because I mean, a good rule of thumb is if you're in a new city and you want to know where the good food is and you don't really trust the internet, which you probably shouldn't, go to a bar. Go to a bar. The servers and the bartenders will generally point you in the right direction, and talk to the locals because I really feel like that it gave a new dimension to what we were already planning to do, and it made for a great trip. And there you have it. If you know of a city that you're located in or you visited that you think I should try, please email me and tell me about it at theboywhoatesandiego@gmail.com. I would love to hear about it and include it in a future episode. And of course, as always, if you're in San Diego and you see someplace that I missed on my list, let me know about it. I would love to hear from you. We'll see you next time.